Hi there, my name's Gilbert Gregory and I'm standing to be your representative on Calderdale Council. I've lived in Todmorden all my life and I work locally. I'm young, I'm positive and I'm enthusiastic, and I believe that great improvement is possible in Todmorden. In this video, I want to discuss 3 issues by way of example. First, it would be remiss of me not to mention the recent news regarding Todmorden Agricultural Show. Then, I will discuss the planning applications made in Todmorden by Lidl and by Aldi. Finally, I will set out my view regarding the Rose Street development site, otherwise known as Pollination Street. We have just received the sad news that Todmorden Agricultural Show is to be cancelled. This, I believe, is an absolute scandal. The show is Todmorden's foremost annual event and perhaps Calderdale's biggest annual community event. Steve Sweeney is our representative on Calderdale Council. He is also the Council's cabinet member in charge of community. He is therefore twice over responsible for ensuring the viability of Todd Show. Councillor Sweeney is up for re-election in 8 days' time. In light of this, there has been a concerted effort by his party colleagues to downplay the responsibility of Calderdale Council in the loss of this year's show. Of course, it was the Environment Agency who carried out work on the park. They laid their drains at a shallow depth, meaning that heavy wagons would cause serious damage. But it was Calderdale Council that allowed them to do so. What is the point of a local authority if it cannot liaise with a government agency such as the Environment Agency to ensure that their work does not have a detrimental effect? Instead of drawing a large salary as a cabinet member, Steve Sweeney should have been focusing on his ward and on the people who elected him. There is no good reason why the Environment Agency did not lay their drains at a greater depth, and there is therefore no good reason why Centreville Park cannot host this year's show. By failing to work properly with the Environment Agency, the individual that we elected to protect Todmorden's interests has shown both negligence and incompetence. It is not good enough. Aldi have applied to build on the Abraham Ormerod site, whilst Lidl have applied to build on the Halifax Road site opposite Hussein Brothers. Aldi are waiting for the outcome of Lidl's application. If Lidl are granted permission, then Aldi will not buy the Abraham Ormerod site from Asda, and the site will remain empty. The Abraham Ormerod site is right in the middle of town. It must therefore be prioritised when it comes to development. Free parking and the fact that customers will have to go elsewhere in the town centre for cigarettes, lottery tickets, coffee, lunch and so on are just 2 of the benefits that a new Aldi will bring to Todmorden. Others include improving the visual landscape and bringing over 30 decently paid jobs to the town centre. On the other hand, the proposed new Lidl is too far out of town to be of benefit to the rest of the town centre. The building which Lidl currently occupies is still owned by the co-op. If Lidl vacate it, then the co-op will immediately rent it out to a new retailer. This would probably be someone like Iceland, and we would have absolutely no say over who that retailer was. What's more, over the next few years, a significant amount of housing will have to be built in Todmorden in accordance with Calderdale's local plan. Since we have no choice but to accommodate this housing, the very best option is to build it on existing brownfield sites and not on unspoilt greenfield sites. The site which Lidl want to build on Halifax Road would be the ideal location for new housing. If Lidl are allowed to build, we will have to put this housing elsewhere, and it will probably end up on greenfield sites. Since Aldi won't build if Lidl do, we have to make a straight choice between them. In my view, this choice is simple. A new Aldi would be of benefit to the town centre, whereas a larger, further out of town Lidl would not, and it would be far better to use the Halifax Road site for new housing. We must therefore support Aldi and oppose Lidl. Last year, Calderdale Council agreed to sell the site of the old Rose Street Health Centre to developers McCarthy and Stone. If those developers had not pulled out for their own reasons, we would now have a 4-storey retirement block right in the middle of our town centre, and this was fully supported by our current Calderdale councillors. Needless to say, such an economically inert and visually unattractive building is of no benefit to a town centre. In my view, agreeing to this sale showed complete contempt for Todmorden. I support Todmorden Town Council's bid to nominate the Rose Street site as an asset of community value. I firmly believe that it should be for Todmorden to decide the fate of such an important town asset. As, by the way, to the Market Tenants Association, Incredible Edible, Todmorden Pride, Upper Calder Valley Renaissance, and over 2,000 people who have so far signed a petition to that effect. Calderdale Council have so far failed to listen. This is because our Calderdale councillors have failed to stand up for us and have instead tried to impose Calderdale's will upon us. In so doing, our representatives have ignored the wishes of the very people who elected them. I will fight to preserve the Pollination Street Garden. It has become a well-used and visually attractive part of our town centre. My own view is that the remainder of the site, the Old Health Centre's car park, should be developed into retail units. Shops are the lifeblood of a town centre. A town must attract footfall in order to survive. More shops bring more shoppers, and this is good for all existing retailers. If Calderdale Council do sell the site, they do not even intend for the proceeds to stay and be spent in Todmorden. Instead, they have agreed to give the money to the residual body that was Yorkshire Forward, which gave the site to Calderdale some years ago. The Calderdale councillors who represent Todmorden are perfectly willing to submit to such an injustice. That is why we desperately need to elect somebody with a little drive and imagination. My own plan is as follows. I would divide the site in two. Pollination Street would be kept as a community asset. Todmorden Town Council would be given the right to buy the site on behalf of Todmorden. The Town Council is, by the way, sitting on a sufficient sum of money to do this. The remainder of the site would be sold for retail units. To sidestep the problem of the proceeds leaving Todmorden, I would sell the site to a developer for a nominal price of, say, £1. The contract of sale, however, would stipulate that the developer had to spend a sum of money equivalent to the market value of the land on something of benefit to the town, such as improvements to the market. And they would have to do this before they could develop the site. This would be a viable solution. And it is, I believe, an example of the clear thinking which Todmorden needs in order to get a fair deal from Calderdale. I'm asking for the opportunity to fight and negotiate for our town, so that we don't remain on the fringes of Calderdale, at the back of the queue for funding and for everything else. I need your support so that together we can make sure Calderdale serves the best interests of Todmorden and not the other way round. So please, vote for me on Thursday the 5th of May.